Hey guys, Nicky here, and welcome to my third NFL mock draft of this offseason. This is probably going to be my last one for a good little while because now we have the complete draft order. We have the full, the order of all of the picks. I don't think we've gotten the compensatory picks announced yet, and the mock draft simulator actually did give us a couple down here at the very end. Detroit, Cleveland, Baltimore, New Orleans, and Miami all got one, but I don't know if we'll include those because those aren't official yet, I don't think. But we are at least going to get the first 3 rounds of this draft done. And don't worry, I'm not going to keep adding more and more rounds onto each of these as we go. Like the 7th mock draft isn't going to be the full 7, although it would be a good neat little thing. But okay, so the 6th one won't have just 6 rounds. You know what I mean? It'll be this is just first 3 rounds, getting as many players as I at least know of at this point into these mocks. And we're going to jump right into it because this is going to take a little while, but I think we can be a little bit expedient with it. So let's start off at the number 1 overall pick. Now, Jaguars, they have a lot going on right now. Their team is bad. Their team is very, very bad. And when your team is very, very bad, a lot of the time that would make you think, okay, go best player available, especially when you have as many holes as the Jaguars do. And I would say that if the Jaguars did not have their franchise quarterback already set in stone, like Trevor Lawrence is at least at this moment their guy. They have their guy. So I think it would be very smart for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and granted that's not a sentence that's usually said altogether, but hear me out. If the Jaguars were smart, I think that they would load up on offense this year. Just go all out. Get as much as you can in order to give Trevor Lawrence a chance, or at least figure out if he is the guy or not. Because if you load up this team with all kinds of offensive weapons and he's still not good by year 2, by the end of year 2, come on now, god damn it. Then at that point, then you start to look to move on. But you got to give him a chance. And they tried to give him a little bit of a chance last year, but they lost a lot of pieces very early in the process. They lost DJ Chark, they lost Travis Etienne, his best player, or his best wide receiver for the longest time was probably Laviska Shenault. It's not a good situation. So I think if you're the Jaguars, start by re-signing Cam Robinson. He's a serviceable left tackle, and at this point, that's good for what you've got. So, give him his money. Go out and sign a big wide receiver. This is a great year for needing a wide receiver in free agency. Devontae Adams wants to get paid like he's the best receiver in football. Give him the biggest receiver contract that's ever been given. And even if you don't get him, there's still people like Chris Godwin, Juju Smith-Schuster, Allen Robinson. Maybe bring him back. Christian Kirk. There's a ton of really good receivers out there that the Jaguars need to go all in on. Convince them you could be the number 1 receiver of the best quarterback for the next 5 years. That's a pitch that you can make with Trevor Lawrence. Is he going to be the best quarterback for the next 5 years? He could definitely be one of them. If you just at least give him a shot. And I think the last part of that is with this draft. You go big, use as many of your early round draft picks on offensive players as you possibly can. And that is why, with the first overall pick of the Nicky V Mock Draft 3.0, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Evan Neal. This, he actually works out very well for the Jaguars because, like I said, you got Cam Robinson on the left side. Evan Neal actually does his best work on the right side. So you make him your starting right tackle, and that shores up a lot of your offensive line. You could probably look to go maybe for a guard or a center with a future pick, because right now they got Evan Neal is pretty good. Or not. I got that wrong. Cam Robinson's pretty good. Andrew Norwell's all right. But you need someone for the center and right guard. And you could look to that in the draft as well. But yeah, Evan Neal, that works out great. Best offensive player available, easy peasy. Now, here's where things get really fun. Detroit Lions are on the clock. Now, they have needs, like plenty of needs, but I think that the number 2 overall pick, like, you can get one of those needs, but what if you get more of those needs? What if you got more of those needs that you need to fill? What if there's a team that has a bunch of first-round picks that could really use moving up to grab an edge rusher? Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Detroit trades down. I don't know why I was pointing at the actual screen because you can't see that because I don't have face cam for this. Detroit trades the number 2 overall pick in exchange for all 3 of the Eagles' first-round picks at 15, 16, and 19. I think this works out fantastically for both parties. And we'll get more into how this helps the Lions in a little bit. But boom, we make this trade. I put the trades on free-for-all for this, but just so you know, I did the math already for all of this in like the trade value chart thing, and it all pretty much works out. It's within like less than 100 points for all of these. So these are moves that I could see doing, and Philadelphia is now in possession of the number 2 overall pick, and what do they need? They need an edge rusher badly. They actually got pretty good pressure on the quarterback, but they didn't. They couldn't seal the deal. They couldn't actually get the quarterback down. They were second worst in the league in sacks. I think they had like 29, which is that's bad. That's really, really bad. So let's give them Aiden Hutchinson to shore up that pass rush and give them somebody who can finish these things off. Because the Eagles, the Eagles and the Lions are in 2 different places. The Eagles are almost there. They just need a couple more pieces. They don't need several first-round picks. Whereas the Lions, they've got a lot of holes. They can fill a lot of holes with a lot of first-round picks with this move. So this works out, I think, great for all involved. And if you thought we were done with trading up into the top 3, guess again, nerds, because the Texans are also looking to shop their pick. Let's see here. Where is Houston? Houston. Boom. Okay, so let's think. Who could really use Kayvon Thibodeau? Who is going to move up in order to get him? I think that team is the Atlanta Falcons. They trade their first rounder, their second rounder, and a future first to the Texans. I know that the Falcons have plenty of holes, so they might not want to do this. They might want to focus on filling out whatever roster spots they can. But here's the problem: if they wait until 8 to draft, they're gonna miss out on a lot of the big guys. Because the top players right now the people that are most likely going to be drafted at edge rusher, they'll be gone before you get to number 8, those being the top 3 of Thibodeau, Hutchinson, and David Ojabo. So Atlanta moves up, makes a big move, trades 2 firsts and a second, and gets Kayvon Thibodeau. I think this is very smart for them, because if you thought the Eagles' pass rush was bad, the Falcons is on another level. They had fewer sacks as a unit than Robert Quinn, who didn't even lead the league in sacks. That is terribad. So Kayvon Thibodeau, that works out great for the Falcons. He gives them their generational pass rusher that they've needed for freaking eons. I can't remember the last time the Falcons had a good pass rusher besides that 1 year of I forget the name of the edge rusher that the Falcons had, who was good for 1 year and then did nothing, and I think they just released him. So that should tell you all you need to know. Falcons need a pass rusher. They get one here. Maybe John Abraham was the last one. There you go. So, next up is the Jets at 4. Last couple of drafts, I've gone with Derek Stingley Jr. going to the Jets, and I could still see that happening because, by God, they still need some corners. But I also think they need a safety because they haven't really gotten one since the departure of Jamal Adams. So let's get the best safety prospect probably since Jamal Adams, Kyle Hamilton. Like, total center fielder, can control the entire field. Can be the guy who can be anywhere on the field, basically. So, Hamilton going to the Jets, that works out great. At number 5, well, we all know that the Giants have a very bad offensive line. It's been in need of repair for a long time. Did I say Andrew Thomas was on the Jaguars before? I meant to say Andrew Norwell. But yeah, Andrew Thomas is on the Giants, and he's been doing all right there. But, like, I would actually have Andrew Thomas move over to the right side in order to make room for maybe the best left tackle prospect in this class. That would be Charles Cross. This is a move that I think makes, like, you have to give Daniel Jones a chance, because I'll be honest, I'm one of the few people who thinks that Daniel Jones can still be a good quarterback. It's just that the Giants have not protected him. Like, their wide receiver room is solid, I guess. It's fine. Like, they've kind of gone, they kind of spent a lot of money on it and it hasn't worked out, but the players are at least good. And, you know, they've got 2 strong running backs at the moment. Although they might try to trade Saquon Barkley, but that's neither here nor there. Charles Cross, like, you gotta help that offensive line. You have to. So Charles Cross, new starting left tackle, move Andrew Thomas over to the right side, and move Nate Solder to retirement. 6 for the Panthers. This is where the first quarterback goes. And I'm finally starting to come around on Kenny Pickett. He really did good at the Senior Bowl. He looked like the best quarterback in this draft process. I was a little bit hesitant to name him the best quarterback. I was always more into Matt Corral. But, yeah, he's just looked very strong. And I think that with this draft class, like, it's not a great draft class. That's why you don't have any quarterbacks going top 5. But, like, they can't go to free agency again because they keep trying to find mid-level quarterbacks in free agency that just haven't worked out. Like, they're still paying for, like, the last 2 guys that they signed out of free agency. 3 if you want to count Cam Newton coming back. So, it can't be one of those guys again. They need to get somebody and develop him and, like, basically try and make sure that he is, like make it so that by the time 2023's draft rolls around, we aren't looking at the Panthers needing a quarterback again, because they'll at least have some hope. So, Kenny Pickett, he's your pick. You can keep Sam Darnold around for a little bit, and, like, maybe have him start week 1 if Kenny Pickett isn't ready. But, I don't know, Kenny Pickett seems fairly pro-ready, so we'll go with that. Next up, 7, New York Giants, David Ojabo. Now, I have actually been going double offensive line lately, and I could still do that. You know, Iko Mekwonu is there, Kenyon Green, Tyler Linderbaum. They could all work for this spot, but I think that I feel better about Ojabo, like, because there's still going to be some offensive linemen that'll be available in the second round. You got to get one of the big offensive linemen before they all disappear. So, David Ojabo going to the Giants. Their pass rush needs a ton of help. That makes sense to me. All right, so this is where Derek Stingley goes. Oops, I did not mean to spoil that, but yeah, I meant to say this is where the Texans land after their trade down with the Falcons. But they get Derek Stingley Jr., and I think they would love that because it would not be unreasonable for them to take Derek Stingley Jr. at 3. And by doing this, they pick up the player that they wanted, plus an extra second this year, plus an extra first next year. Easy peasy. Like, this dude, he does have, I will admit, he does have some boomer bust potential. I will grant you that. But when he's on, he's the best ball hawk in the country. Like he is a little inconsistent, but dude just gets interceptions. Like, I hope that and the thing is, he was doing that as a freshman. Like, he was making plays on much older people back when he was a freshman. So I think that the transition process to the pros is actually going to be fairly, it's going to be a quick process. So Derek Stingley Jr. going 8. I know that they could go quarterback here, but I think Davis Mills has at least earned a little bit of time. So we'll get back to their quarterback situation later. Next is the Broncos, and we're trading again. Now, this thing doesn't let us trade players, and that's why I had to go into free-for-all mode for this, just to make sure, hey, all of these trades are going to go through. God damn it. So, the Green Bay Packers are about to get a lot of picks. So, I think that they are the ideal spot for Aaron Rodgers to land, because they have so many things going in their favor. They have high enough draft picks to entice the Packers. They've got the cap space to take on Aaron Rodgers' contract. Last I saw, it was like a little under $40 million in cap space. So they've got plenty of room for Aaron Rodgers. They've got an intriguing wide receiver room. Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, a few other big players. Although they might have to throw in one of those players in order to make this work, or at least in order to get the Packers to pick up the phone. They could also trade. They could also throw in Drew Lock. Give them at least a quarterback to fill out their depth chart, and give them another young guy to push Jordan Love that much more. They have the mentality right now that they could compete. The Broncos could compete if only they had a quarterback. And best of all, this has all worked before. This is exactly how it worked with getting Peyton Manning. They signed an aging quarterback, who was kind of falling off, or not falling off, but fell out of favor with his old team, and they built the team around him, and boom, Super Bowl. Nearly 2, I think. But yeah, I think this would be a great move. I see them packaging their first rounder, their 2 seconds this year. They got an extra one from the Von Miller trade, and a future first. So that's 2 firsts and 2 seconds for Aaron Rodgers. I know that they probably want a little more, but that's what they're offering, and I got to throw in a future pick just to, both sides have to actually contribute something. You can't just, give all. You have to actually give back a little. So, there you go. Now that means the Packers are on the clock at number 9. What do they do here? Now, I think wide receiver is in play for them. Could go Garrett Wilson. Could go with a few different wide receivers. Could go Chris Olave. But I actually think that see, here's the problem. Even once they get rid of Aaron Rodgers' contract, they're still going to need to make some moves in order to, because they have a lot, and I mean a lot of people who are on the, who might get moved. So I think that the wisest move would be to start getting ahead of some of those. Right now, both Preston and Zadarius Smith are possible to be moved. So let's pick up an edge rusher. George Karlaftis, he's not quite in that same tier as the first 3 guys, but I think he would still be a great pickup for the Packers. So there you go. Also, wide receiver is really deep, and they can pick one up later. All right, now we are on to number 10, and this is the Jets that are up, and I'm doing this as a personal favorite of Voice of Reason. Tyler Linderbaum. Their offensive line is getting better, but they still need to like, they still need to improve in some places. And this would be the third straight year that they go offensive lineman in the first round, because they went Elijah Vera Tucker in the first last year, and Mekhi Becton, I think, before that. So, like, this sends a clear statement. We are trying to save Zach Wilson's life, okay? We don't want him to get hurt. We want him to have as many pieces around him as we can, because their wide receiver room is actually not terrible. They'll be getting back Jamison Crowder, Corey Davis. Braxton Berrios really came out at the end of the year, but I think he's actually a free agent, so, sign him. But yeah, like, Tyler Linderbaum going there. Keep Zach Wilson upright. Clear some running lanes for Michael Carter. There you go. I like it. All right, so the Commanders are on the clock. That still sounds dumb. Still sounds like a USFL team. But, the Commanders are on the clock. Could go quarterback. Or they could do something a little more fun. So, I have a three-way trade happening. This doesn't happen a lot in football. This is more of a basketball thing, but hear me out. 3-team trade involving Las Vegas, Washington, and Seattle. Vegas gets Russell Wilson. Washington gets Derek Carr. And Seattle gets a bunch of picks. Those picks being Seattle gets the 11th overall pick and the 73rd overall pick from Washington, as well as a future first from Washington and a future first from Las Vegas. So they end up getting 3 firsts and a 3 firsts and a third for Russell Wilson. So there you go. I like that. Las Vegas gets a shiny new quarterback to help them get them to the promised land, and hang on, let me. I wrote this all down. Las Vegas gets a shiny new quarterback to help them get to the promised land and only have to give up their current quarterback and a future first. Washington starts the Commanders era with their franchise quarterback in Derek Carr, although they do have to give up quite a bit. So maybe the future first. I know they get 3 firsts out of this, but 2 of them will be future picks. So that's not really all that important to this. The valuable thing out of this is that Seattle gets Washington's 1st and 3rd for this year. Like, there'll be future picks thrown in there, but that will come later. So there we go. And now Seattle is back in the first round. Oh, wait, shit. Seattle is back in the first round because the Commanders have their quarterback. Man, why the Commanders? Why didn't they just call him something good? Don't do this. Anyway, so Seattle is back on the clock, and why would they not go with Eko Mekwonu? Like, that feels like it would be the move. Like, and the reason that I have him falling down a little bit is because a lot of people, like, I've seen people take Eko Mekwonu at, like, number 1 overall, and, like, on the odds list, he's, like, 4th behind Evan Neal, Hutchinson, and Thibodeau. So I could see Ekwonu going a lot higher than this, but I think he just works better as a guard. Like, the Seahawks, they have a couple of pieces on their offensive line, but it's still just been a sieve the last few years. They really, really need to try and improve that offensive line however they can. And we'll start with Ekwonu. Like, he is a bulldozing guard prospect, and maybe he is a tackle prospect as well, but I think that I just think that he works better as a guard. So, yeah. All right, next up, number 12 is the Vikings, and this is where I have them taking Andrew Booth Jr. I actually had them taking Booth in my last mock draft in this spot, and I think that he is the most complete cornerback prospect in this draft. Like, Stingley, he can be good or he can be really bad. I think Booth is just going to be really good. So I think that he is worth this high of a pick. And yeah, we need to keep going because there's a lot happening here. 13, the Browns, I have them taking Chris Olave. So right now they need a number one receiver really badly. They have lost Odell Beckham. Jarvis Landry is beat up and wants out. Right now their best receiver that's probably going to be there next year is Donald Peoples-Jones, who is fine, but you don't want he had 600 yards last year. I don't think that he is a top guy, at least not at this stage of his career. I think that if you add Chris Olave, that turbocharges this offense, and it keeps the Browns from being one-dimensional, which is really good considering that Baker Mayfield's job is pretty much on the line. This is probably the last year that people will go into the season Baker Mayfield should be the uncontested number one quarterback. And even then, some people are already calling for his job. But, he is injured. He had a lot of turmoil at the wide receiver position. They need to load up in order to at least determine, same with the Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence, they need to at least determine whether or not he's the guy. So, this is probably his last chance saloon. So, there you go. Here's a really good receiver. Don't screw this up. Also, he's from Ohio. There you go. 14. This is where Trevor Penning is going to land. I actually had this as the pick last time around, but I didn't feel good about that. I felt like I was reaching, but now I feel like this might actually be him falling a little bit. He could theoretically go top 10. Trevor Penning destroyed the Senior Bowl. He was one of the big players coming out of it because he was just mauling everyone and wanted to get in fights with people. It was really fun to watch. I don't normally get this hyped about a tackle prospect, but man, Trevor Penning was fun to watch at the Senior Bowl. So there you go. Trevor Penning going to the Ravens. He'll probably be asked to start very quickly in order to replace Alejandro Villanueva because he's getting older and he's starting to fall off a little bit. So there you go. Now, here we have 3 picks that belong to the Detroit Lions. This is going to be interesting. Because this is going to be a great spot for them to pick up a lot of guys who, they wouldn't have been able to get a lot of these guys with earlier round with the second overall pick. There isn't a wide receiver that you would want to get at this stage. There isn't a quarterback that you want to get at this stage, or a defensive tackle at that range. But there are at this range, so we're gonna get them. Starting with a wide receiver, that is going to be Garrett Wilson. Now, last year, their wide receiving room was just wrecked. They had a ton of injuries, but they did at least have one breakout star in Amon-Ra St. Brown. Sun God, praise the sun. Amon-Ra St. Brown really blew up at the end of last year. He developed a great rapport with Jared Goff. It's a shame I'm about to blow that up. But on a serious note, Garrett Wilson, bring him in. They'll also be getting back TJ Hawkinson and Quintez Cephas. All of a sudden, this looks like a pretty solid offense, especially when you pair him up with the 16th overall pick, Matt Corral. Now, Matt Corral, he's not a guy who needs to start right away, and that's fine. They still got Jared Goff. He's not a liability at quarterback, especially now that he's been given a full year with this offense. But he's not the future, and right now they're basically just trying to make chicken salad out of chicken shit with his contract. But getting their future quarterback, especially now, because if they wait too much longer, first off, if they wait till 18, or if they wait to take him at 19, they might lose him to the Saints. But even after that, Steelers might be looking for a quarterback. Not the Patriots. Who else? The Titans. They aren't committed to Ryan Tannehill. Like, they keep looking around, seeing if, hey, is Aaron Rodgers available? The Buccaneers could look at it. Like, there's a lot of teams between now and the Lions at 32 that maybe they go quarterback. Not to mention, someone could trade up. So, get the guy now. He's a solid quarterback, someone who can develop, and, like, he was very, I don't want to say conservative with the ball, but protective of the ball back at Mississippi, and he can make good passes downfield. So, think of him like he's a game manager, but also he can fire one off when you're not expecting it. So he can make calculated throws. I think that's the great way to put it. All right, so now we go to 17. This is where the Chargers are at, and I have them going with where'd he go? Where's DeMarvin Leal? There he is. Fell down the board a little bit. That's weird. But yeah, their run defense was bad last year. They need to really work on that, and I think that a good way to do that is to start off by taking DeMarvin Leal, have him replace Linval Joseph, because he was in the last year of his contract, or he's in the final year of his contract, and he's turning 34. Like, you really need to clean that up a little bit, especially since Joseph, he's not the same guy that he was in Minnesota. So there you go. Next up, 18 is the Saints, and this is where I have them taking Treylon Burks. Now, there are three positions that the Saints could theoretically take here. They could go quarterback, because I don't think that they're necessarily tied to Jameis Winston, even though I think that they would be smart to bring him back. They could go corner, because they need a second corner outside of Marshawn Lattimore, because there was a lot of people that were just giving up tons of yards in that Saints secondary. And they could go wide receiver. And I think wide receiver is actually their biggest need, because they have nobody there. At least with quarterback, they have Jameis. At corner, they have Lattimore. Wide receiver, who do they have? Like, Lil Jordan Humphrey? Yikes. So, yeah, give them a wide... Well, okay, I take that back, because they do have Michael Thomas. But Michael Thomas has shown that he probably doesn't want to be there, and the Saints are in cap hell, and I get that the Saints have, like, wizards in their front office that can, like, make that just disappear. But I think that in order to make that disappear, they're going to have to lose a couple pieces, like how they had to lose Trey Hendrickson last year. So they could end up losing Michael Thomas this year. And even if they don't, they need at least a number 2 receiver. So Treylon Burks, I think, makes so much sense. Big dude, can win jump ball battles. Like, the only thing that he's missing right now is breakaway speed. And if he finds that at the combine, he might not even be available in 18. But even still, even if they don't, wide receivers pretty deep. Find one. All right, 19. I mentioned earlier we could go defensive tackle at this stage. Boom, Jordan Davis. Like, they could go either way on the defensive line. They could either go edge rusher or interior lineman. But at 19, like, I like Jordan Davis the best out of all of the defensive lineman prospects remaining. Because let's go ahead and see who's available. Trayvon Walker, Devontae Wyatt, Logan Hall, Fedarian Mathis, Perion Winfrey, and an edge rusher, Jermaine Johnson, Jarek Jackson, Arnold Ibakite, Kingsley Ednagberry, Cameron Thomas, Myjai Sanders. Like, a lot of these are like late first or early second people for me. Kind of same for this batch right here. Like, Jordan Davis, I think, is the best defensive lineman prospect still available. So, that is easy for me. All right, Steelers are up next, and this one could not be easier. It's Kenyon Green. So they just need to take the best offensive lineman available at this stage, and that right now is Kenyon Green. And I actually think that given what the Steelers are going to be wanting to do on offense, which is basically give the ball to Najee Harris and just tell him to go, shoring up the interior of your offensive line will actually be a lot better for that. So Kenyon Green, easy pick to the Steelers. They would love him. 21, Patriots. I have them taking Nakobe Dean. Best linebacker in this draft possibly, because the other ones are edge rushers. They would be better as defensive ends. But yeah, Nakobe Dean, best linebacker in the draft. Could come in and immediately lead the team in tackles. Especially since Donta Hightower is an impending free agent. So, yeah, Bill Belichick would love Nakobe Dean. 22, Raiders. Sauce Gardner has just been kind of hanging out at the top of the board. A lot of people are saying that he could be a top 10 pick. And I could see that, but cornerback... There's only a few teams that really, really need a quarterback. Just looking back up here, who all took a quarterback? Who all could take a quarterback? The Jets, the Texans, maybe the Packers, definitely maybe the Seahawks, but they have holes in so many places. This is why I had them making sure to pick up a good number of picks from Russell Wilson. But yeah. The Raiders, I think this move right now for the Raiders, this is the one that they should go with, especially if they decide not to bring back Nate Hobbs. I'm unsure on his status with the team because didn't he get 2 DUIs or something? I know he got at least 1, but especially after the Henry Ruggs incident, come the fuck on. Even with Nate Hobbs, they just couldn't pull down interceptions. They only had 6 on the whole season. I think that was worst in the league. So get you a guy who can get you some more interceptions, and there you go. Especially if you don't bring back Nate Hobbs, boom, you got his replacement right here. 23. So this is where we're going to start to see a run of corners. I said earlier that the top, the first 2/3 of the first round, they didn't have a ton of teams that needed corners. The bottom third, there's quite a few, and we're about to see a run. So yeah, Trent McDuffie is the next one I have going. They've been needing a number one they've been needing a true number one corner, a shutdown guy, since basically Patrick Peterson was in his prime. And Byron Murphy is a solid guy, but you get another guy who is that good or better, and boom, shut down. All sides of the field, nowhere is safe. 24. Technically, Daxton Hill is listed as a safety, but I've seen him listed as a corner in some places, so you know what? It still counts. Daxton Hill going to the Cowboys. They need a lot of help in their secondary. Okay, so I say that. On paper, it doesn't look like they do because, they led the league in interceptions. They were also gashed, a lot, in a lot of places. So, they need to get less aggressive. And I hope Dan Quinn realizes that. They've got all these flashy players on the secondary, but they need to just be better in coverage. Otherwise, they're just going to keep getting blown up and only have 1 or 2 interceptions to make up for that. So, yeah, Daxton Hill going to the Cowboys. I like that move quite a bit. 25. The Bills are up next. Guess what? More corners! Kyer Ilum. So this pick could be used to make up for the fact that they might lose Levi Wallace in free agency. But even if they retain Levi Wallace, I like the idea of the Bills taking a corner here because they don't have a ton of holes, that Bills team. Like, they could go interior offensive line, they could go running back, but those are moves you make with, like, future picks. Or not future picks, but, like, later round picks. Like, you don't take a running back this early, and you taking an interior lineman here would be a bit of a reach. So that's why I think Kaiir Elam makes a ton of sense here. Like, you take that Bills secondary, Tre'Davious White, and you just make it, like, possibly Levi Wallace to see if he's still there, and you just make it better. Like, and all of a sudden, this Bills defense is, like, terrifying. So there you go. Next up, the Titans at 26, except no, they aren't at 26. It's the Texans. They are moving up, trading away. Let's see here. Who did I have them giving up? It's giving up the 37th overall pick as well as a future second in exchange for wait for it, Malik Willis. Come on, computer. There you go. Malik Willis going to the Texans. Now, this is a tricky move, and I will fully admit that. But I think this would set up the Texans in a great position no matter what happens. Because, okay, there are two routes that the Texan season is going to go. Either the charges against Deshaun Watson will be dropped, and he comes back to the team. I don't think that's actually very likely, because even if the charges do get dropped, I think that they'll still try to move him because, like, he has baggage now. But there's also still teams that are going to be willing to give them multiple first rounders for him. But let's do this one piece at a time. Either he comes back, and if that's the case, boom, Malik Willis immediately becomes the most valuable trade piece in the league. You get easily an earlier first than 26 for him, and, like, maybe even more picks. Because Malik Willis is possibly has the highest upside out of any of these quarterbacks. Like, it could... He has the biggest... I would say he has the highest ceiling and the lowest floor out of any of these quarterbacks coming out. So, if Deshaun Watson comes back, you could flip him for more picks down the line, or if in the more likely scenario that Deshaun Watson has played his final down for the Texans, you could... he doesn't even have to start right away because you got Davis Mills, and he has shown that he could run this offense. So, like, you bring in Malik Willis when he's ready, or you flip him for even more. Like, this works out great, in my opinion. So, there you go. 27 is next, and that's the Buccaneers, and I have them going wide receiver, Drake London. I think that Drake London could be huge, especially, like, if the Bucs can somehow land themselves a top-flight quarterback, I think they'll be fine. Although I do think that the Bucs are in for a rough year because whoever they have at quarterback, it'll be their first year in an Arians system. And Arians, I should make sure that that's clear. But yeah, first-year quarterbacks in the Bruce Arians offense, it's a struggle a lot of the time. It was even a struggle with Brady for a little bit. But no matter who they get, they could definitely use some more receiver help because they still got Mike Evans. Mike Evans is still great. But Chris Godwin is an impending free agent, and he's coming off a torn ACL, I think it was. They might franchise tag him, but we all know franchise tag doesn't do well for people's psyche. Like, they don't like that. And, of course, Antonio Brown. Oh, Antonio Brown. Do shut the fuck up. Or don't, so that we can continue to laugh at you. So, yeah, what I'm saying is the Buccaneers have a lot of need for a wide receiver right here. So, this makes all the sense in the world. Get yourself... Like, whoever is at the quarterback position week 1 for the Buccaneers, they will be much happier knowing that Drake London is there. Like, Oh, by the way, I didn't even mention Gronkowski might be gone too. So, yeah, it's a wide receiver. It's a receiving room that is like in a state of flux. But there you go. All right, 28. 28 is the Packers again. I think they would have loved Drake London, but he got nabbed right before then. So instead, let's do another move that makes up for a pending free agent, Devin Lloyd. They might lose Devondre Campbell this offseason, so there you go. There's another guy. That's another guy that you don't have to pay for, so that you can continue to clear up space and maybe try and keep Devontae Adams. Like, I think that really, really helps out. Devin Lloyd, great at diagnosing plays. Like, I don't know if I said this in the last video, but it's like the dude has the Madden pre-snap map, like play map in his head. Like he's so good at reading offenses. So I think Lloyd would be a great pickup for the Packers. 29, the Dolphins. They might have had the worst offensive line in the league last year. But they at least made up for it in terms of like they still kept the offense relatively in motion. Like they kept the offense relatively. Damn it, the words are hard. They kept the offense moving. So props to Brian Flores for that. Oh wait, shit, he got fired. Man, the Dolphins are dumb. Anyway, so for the Dolphins, you go offensive line here. Which offensive lineman do you go for, though? I actually think Darian Kennard. He really caught my eye at the Senior Bowl, and he actually does his best work at right tackle, which is great considering that right tackle is going to be if they still have Tua, he's going to be the blindside protector. So you need a really strong right tackle for the Dolphins, and I think Darian Kennard, he fits that much better than if he would have had to move to the left side, and smart move. So naturally, I expect the Dolphins to not make it. 30, Chiefs. This is where I have them taking a pass rusher because their defense is just in dire need of help, and I think that the guy that they end up taking, where'd you go, is Drake Jackson. There we go. I think he's a guy who's kind of, he's down on a lot of people's boards, mostly because the USC Trojans were dumb on how to use him. Like, they kept trying to, like, move him around and, like, find different places for him to work. No, just make him a pass rusher. That's what he is. He's a pass rusher. There you go. Boom. Quit trying to be cute about this and just, make it work. There you go. 31. I did say earlier that going interior offensive line might be a little bit of a stretch at this stage, but I think we all know what the Bengals' biggest need is. It's interior offensive line, and they need to not dick around with this. Zion Johnson is the play. Guard. Boom. Don't even try and overthink this. The interior of that line got destroyed on a weekly basis, especially in the playoffs. And if the Bengals are going to make another deep run, which I think they will, they have to fix this offensive line, especially considering they're in the same division as freaking T.J. Watt and Myles Garrett. Like, two of the best pass rushers in the league. You're going to be seeing them 4 times a year. Like, fix this now. Along with the Ravens, because they have 2 more from the Ravens, because they have a good pass rush when everybody's healthy too. So, yeah, fix that. Moving on. 32. Hey, it's those Lions again. So, what are we doing here? Well, we kind of neglected pass rusher before. Most drafts have the Lions taking one of the 2 top pass rushers, either Hutchinson or Thibodeau. But since they weren't available and we've let the pass rusher thing kind of just pass, now, here we go. Arnold Ibikite. He is a guy who's just been, like, shooting up boards lately. Like, I remember Mel Kiper in his first mock, he had him going, like, 16th overall. And I don't think, I'm not that high on him, but I do think that he is a riser in the draft. So, you know, he's a first rounder. There you go. Okay. I need to get a drink of water. I will be right back, and I'll probably edit out the break. So, one sec. So, second round time. Gotta pull this up again. I keep shutting my phone off, and this has the list of all the people that I have. So, here we go. First round is in the books. Time for round number 2. The Jaguars are back up on the clock. And boy, Jameson Williams is looking really good right now. Now, he could go a lot earlier than this, but I think that there are going to be teams who are going to be scared off by his ACL tear, because it happened fairly recently. But I think that, like I said earlier, the Jaguars are going to retool their offense and like really get themselves back into a position where they can compete, at least on the offensive side of the ball. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if the Jaguars became a team that like loses games 38-35. But that's fine as long as you know, demonstrate that Trevor Lawrence is the guy. Like, you can work on your defense later. Work on your offense now that you have Trevor Lawrence. And if they bring in a big receiver, maybe make sure to re-sign their guys. Make sure DJ Chark comes back. And now pick up Jameson Williams. All of a sudden, this offense goes from completely bereft of talent to like an actual unit. Like, imagine a Jacksonville offense, okay? At quarterback, you have Trevor Lawrence. Wide receiver 1, Devontae Adams. Wide receiver 2, Jameson Williams. Slot receiver, DJ Chark. Tight end, we can get that later. Offensive line includes Cam Robinson and Evan Neal on one side, or on the corners. A guard, Andrew Norwell at one guard. You can pick up another, offensive lineman or two, maybe an Alex Kappa in free agency. Like, and then running back, you still have James Robinson, and now you bring back Travis Etienne as well. That's an actual unit. That's an offense that can put up points. Like, do that. So there you go. I think this would fill out a roster that is suddenly very interesting. And you still have Laviska Shenault. I just like saying his name. All right, 34. Blue Kitties are at it again. Well, North Blue Kitties. So yeah, 34. This makes 5 picks for the Lions in the first 35, or in the top 35, by the way. That's huge for your rebuild. So, safety, I think, is the way to go here. They could go corner, but I actually kind of like their corners right now. They've got hang on, I gotta say this guy's name right because it's a little off. Amani Oruware. If I got that first try, I'm going to be so impressed with myself. And they still have Jeff Okudah if he can ever fucking stay healthy. Like, I feel bad for Jeff Okudah at this point because people are already writing him off as a bust, but he can't, like, he's just never been healthy. Give him a year where he's just, like, actually playing. I want to see it before we just write him off. Anyway, I'm taking Lewis Sign here. I really like Sign. Like, he punches so hard above his weight. Like, I've seen people compare him to Bob Sanders. And I just hope he doesn't end up like Bob Sanders, where he only plays like 7 years in the league. But that's at least what he reminds me of. So, like, smaller dude, but hits like a truck. All right, 35. Got the Jets up again. Now, we had them forego a corner at the first round pick. But you know what? There's plenty of corners still available in the second round that are arguably worth a first round pick. And the guy I'm going to go with is Kyler Gordon. Like, he's a very interesting player. Like he has great body control. Like, he can go up, make plays at angles that you wouldn't expect, make acrobatic catches, and like just show up in coverage where you aren't expecting it. So he's a player that has a lot of potential, and I quite like the pick of Kyler Gordon here. 36, the Giants. So I said before, they've invested heavily in their wide receiver room, but it's just not worked out. Like, their wide receivers have not produced like they should, and I think that they did pick up Kadarius Toney last year. They still got Sterling Shepard. None of these guys strike me as the guy who can, like, at least the biggest weapon on this offense. So I think they find that here. Like, yeah, going wide receiver, maybe that's a bit of a luxury play right now. But once again, we're trying to make sure Daniel Jones, like, has a chance to succeed. And I think adding one more really good weapon to this Giants offense will really help him get to that level. So Wan'Dale Robinson, super fast, super great route running. Like, that's like, if the Giants offensive line is still kind of a work in progress, like, he can still at least get downfield before, like, he can at least still be a downfield threat before the line completely collapses. So there you go. I keep saying there you go, and I don't know if that's just a thing of mine, but hey, I almost said it again. Titans are up next, and I think that the Titans would love to land at this spot because this would let them pick up Trey McBride, the top tight end on the board. Like, the Titans work best when they have a big guy, like, at tight end who can help make life easier for the entire offense, really. Like, they had it with Delaney Walker, they had it with Jonnu Smith, but they never really replaced Jonnu Smith once he left for the Patriots. So there you go, Trey McBride. Like, I think he was basically the entire offense back at Colorado State, and I don't think he'll be that necessary to the offense, but I think that he'll still be a great piece that'll greatly help out this team that really could use a new tight end. And it's probably a good idea to get one now because there's quite a few teams coming up who could use a tight end. Like, I'm just looking at this. The Jets could use one. The Packers could use one. I think Gerald Everett is a free agent for the Seahawks, so he could use one. The Texans. Like, there's a lot of teams that would love a tight end, and Houston and Tennessee is just landing right in front of them and just nabbing the best one. All right, 38. We have the Jets up again. Yeah, Jets up again, and I have them taking Jermaine Johnson. So yeah, these picks that the Jets are taking, not what you would call the sexiest picks in the world. You know, you don't have any skill position players. You got a safety, a center, a corner, and an edge rusher. Let me rephrase that. A safety, a center, not the most like, corner and edge rusher can be sexy picks, but usually that's when you're talking about, like, elite ones. These guys are, like, the next level down from elite. But I think that Jermaine Johnson could still be a great help to this pass rush, and they do need to improve on that side. So I like that move. All right, 39. My Bears are finally on the clock. Now, this is hilarious because look who comes right after the Bears. It's the Packers. What have we been saying all along? The Packers need to get a receiver, even if they manage to bring back Davante Adams. Suck it, Packers. Okay, so this pick isn't just being made out of spite. Partially made out of spite, but not entirely. Give me more drama. I love it. But no, the Bears are still in need of they need more playmakers. Like, so they have Darnell Mooney, and he was great for them last year. He emerged as the Bears' number one receiver, and that's terrific. but they don't they're probably not going to re-sign Allen Robinson. That ship has sailed. Like, the Allen Robinson experiment has not worked. So they're going to move on from him. So they need a number 2 receiver, and Jahan Dotson would be that guy. And he would also be stealing a pick away from the biggest rival at their biggest area of need. I love it. All right, so now 40 comes up, and this would have been where Jahan Dotson probably would have gone. But, the Packers are smart. Like, I will give them credit. They are smart. They are a smartly run team. They are not going to, they're not going to reach for a guy, because there's still some wide receivers that are available, but they also have a ton of other needs, especially with, once again, all of their needs, all of their impending free agents, and this is going to take care of another one. Roger McCreary can help make up for the loss of Kevin King, who is a free agent, and I would be shocked if the Packers bring him back, because he struggled a lot for the Packers this year. So this would be them rectifying that. All right, 41. Did I? Okay, good. It went through. 41, the Seahawks are on the board again, and this is actually going to be a quarterback. Sam Howell. He goes off the board at 41. I think Sam Howell possesses a lot of Russell Wilson in him. Smaller guy, accurate, athletic, can run with the ball. There's a lot to like in the comparisons between Russell Wilson and Sam Howell. Now, he did kind of fall off at the end of last season because he lost a lot of his big pieces in that North Carolina offense, specifically Javonte Williams and Michael Carter. But I think that the Seahawks are in a much better position because they have some elite wide receivers in DK Metcalf and why am I forgetting the other one? Tyler Lockett. That's what it was. He was on my fantasy team. But yes, they have a lot of potential, or they have a lot of weapons. Rashawn Petty finally broke out at the end of last season. So I think that the drop-off from Russell Wilson to Sam Howell will be negligible and will be made up for pretty quickly because he's a smart guy. He's a intelligent player, doesn't make mistakes with the ball. He's someone who can work out for you. And there's some people who are saying, the Seahawks are gonna more than likely go for a veteran quarterback. Why not both? They're also probably not bringing back Geno Smith next year because of his run-in with the law. So, bring in a Bridgewater or a Trubisky or somebody who can hold the reins for a little while if you don't want to just give it to Sam Howell immediately. But yeah, both sides work in this situation. 42, Redskins. So what do I want to do here? I think so. The Redskins have a really good offense. I keep saying the Redskins because it's better than the Commanders. Ugh. Also, the site I'm using still has Redskins as their team, so it's not great. So the Commanders, they have one of the strongest offensive lines in the league. Chase Rollier is one of the best centers in the league. They got Eric Flowers, who has just revitalized his career at guard. Pulled a freaking Robert Gallery and just oh, hey, he actually works at guard. Good job. And then, on the other side, you got Brandon Scherf, who is an impending free agent, but he is probably the best right guard in the league. So they've got their guard set up. And even Charles Leno Jr. on the left side, he is a starting caliber left tackle. And there aren't a ton of those. So there you go. That's strong. But here's the thing. That line is built to run or it's built for pass coverage. It's not as good on the run. So this is where I have Bernard Reimann going. Austrian player, converted tight end converted wide receiver into a tight end into an offensive tackle, like pulling a Kelvin Benjamin, but actually, succeeding. But he's a little bit raw, and I actually think that he might work best as a tight end, like moving back to tight end, where he could be like on running plays, he can be like a sixth lineman, and on passing plays, he could be tackle eligible. I think it's a really cool idea. But even if they do stick him at offensive line, like he is developed so fast at everything he's done that he could kind of just do whatever you need. So there you go. Fun player. Big upside. Why am I getting so hyped over tackles? This is the second one. Like him and Trevor Penning, and to a slightly lesser degree, Darian Kennard. I've been like, yo, tackles. They're hype. Alright, so computer is falling apart on me. I hate this. I hate this computer. Okay. 43. The Texans are now on the clock again. Scroll up a little bit. I have them going pass rusher here because this is the same deal as the Lions taking a pass rusher at 32 with Arnold Ibikite. They could have had one of the top pass rushing talents in the draft if they would have stayed at 3, but they chose to continue to build more pieces. So now they fill that pick with one that they got. I think this is the one that they got from Atlanta. And with this pick, they take Cameron Thomas. They should have had a pick in the earlier in the second, I think. But I think they traded it to somebody, probably the Jets. That sounds right. But yeah, Cameron Thomas. He goes over there. He had a great season, a great senior season with the Aztecs. So, he is definitely more of a pass rusher. He's not as useful on running plays, but bring him in on passing downs, and he could be he might be a role player at first. But he can develop. He can develop in that Texans defense. Especially with Lovie Smith still hanging around. Hey, I like Lovie. I'm one of the few Bears fans that still likes Lovie. Alright. 44, the Browns. I think Fedarian Mathis would be a steal at 44. Like, he's one of those guys that keeps rising and rising and rising. And this could be like how the Browns found that guy in the second round, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Like, they found him in the second, and he just kept falling and falling and falling to them, and boom, all of a sudden he's there. And the Browns get him, and he turns out to be one of the best defensive players in that draft class. I think Fedarian Mathis could do something similar, especially considering that the Browns are probably going to be moving on from Malik McDowell. Because, he had an actually solid season. But, number one, I think he was on the last year. He was on a 1-year deal. And he was actually doing all right until, he got arrested. So, Mathis would be a great replacement for him. 45 is the Ravens, and this is where I have the first running back going off the board. It's Kenneth Walker III. He was beastly at Michigan State. He was the best running back in the country. And as I mentioned before, the Ravens have, well, actually I don't know if I mentioned this, but the Ravens have a lot of issues that can be resolved with a fresh season. Like, They were beat up so badly last season, and like they just need to wait a little bit, and now they'll be able to bring back their players. Like, they're just completely decimated secondary. Like, they've got two Pro Bowlers in their secondary, so they'll get them back. Marlon Humphreys and I forget the other one, but you get my point. So I think that one of the places that they could and should go is at running back. Like, Kenneth Walker is, as I mentioned, the best running back, in my opinion, coming out of college this year. And last year they had a procession of old dudes at running back. You know, they had Le'Veon Bell. They had the guy who was with the Raiders and then the Saints. His name is escaping me too. But like they had a bunch of older players at running back, and that is a death sentence for the position. Like, yes, they are going to be getting J.K. Dobbins back. They're also going to be getting Tyson Williams back. But I feel like those guys work better as role players. And just bringing in the best running back in the class for a team that very clearly just wants to run the ball. Why would they not make this move? All right. 46 is the Vikings, and I have them taking a defensive tackle here. There's actually quite a few defensive tackles that are still very high on the board who could go, but I have them taking Logan Hall. Like, a lot of the players on their defense are starting to get a little older. They were actually second in the league in sacks last season, but they did so with a bunch of players. Like, a bunch of their people, like, put up like 5 or 6 sacks. Their leading sacker had 8. And like they need to find a few more people to help out with that pass rush, and I think Logan Hall helps out with that pass rush. He had a great season with Houston, or with the U of Houston last year. So he fits with this Vikings team very well, I think. All right. 47 is our first appearance of the Indianapolis Colts. What do they do? So they're in a really tricky situation because everybody and their cat is talking about moving Carson Wentz. Like, they're saying that the Colts need to move on from him. But the problem with that is they wouldn't be getting much for him. They would only be getting like $13 million in cap space freed up. He's guaranteed $25 million this year. So cutting him really doesn't get you that much. So if I'm the Colts, I think I'm just holding on to him for another year, you know, because like, he was not great last season, but I think part of the problem with that is that he had no receivers. Like, okay, so no, I take that back. He had one receiver. He had Michael Pittman Jr., and he was great. Their next best receiver had less than 400 yards. Like, that is awful. Can you literally name one more receiver on this team besides Michael Pittman Jr.? And T.Y. Hilton does not count because he is washed. He is done in rings. I think wide receiver would be a great move for this organization, because like you need to get better at that. Basically, you need to give Carson Wentz at least someone else to throw to, and I think that guy is David Bell. Like, he's a great possession receiver, loves contact, and catch the ball in closing windows. Like, he would be a great pickup for them. Did I hit that? Come on, computer, you piece of shit. Why isn't it going? Okay. All right, David Bell finally went through. My computer is probably about to crash, but whatever. I love it. God, I need a new computer so bad. All right, 48. The Chargers are next up on the board. And they went defensive line earlier with Jordan Davis. Okay, good. Yeah, they went defensive line with Jordan Davis earlier. And I think, they got an interior guy with the first pick. Let's get a pass rusher with the second. Trayvon Walker. There we go. Give Joey Bosa some help on the other side, especially considering that the people who have largely been his pass rushing help this year, they were both on they're both impending free agents. So there you go. All right, so that's halfway through the first 3 rounds. So I'll be right back. All right, kids, we're back. So I had to basically restart my like shut down Chrome and reboot it because it was going so slow. But now we're back to being at a decent level just in time for the second half of the first 3 rounds to get started. And we're going to go through these rather quickly because, as I said, I don't have much written down for the third round. And I also got stuff to do. Also, my washing machine's running in the background. Ignore that. So the Saints are up at number 49. Halfway through the second round, we begin with a quarterback. I mentioned before that the Saints' 3 biggest needs are cornerback, quarterback, and wide receiver. We got a wide receiver in the first. Let's get a quarterback here. Personally, my favorite quarterback of this class, that would be Carson Strong. Well, okay, I take that back. He might not be my favorite quarterback of this class. He's definitely up there, but I think that him landing with the Saints would be terrific. And I know that a lot of people are saying that he's going to be the cool landing spot for Russell Wilson, and I could see that. But Russell Wilson, he's got a big contract with them, and the Saints are in cap hell right now, as I mentioned before, and they're going to have a hard time whittling down all their cap room just to get under the cap, let alone take on a huge contract like Russell Wilson's. So I think the smarter play would be to bring back Jameis Winston on another 1-year contract, let him try to prove himself again, and bring in Carson Strong to be his backup and also successor. He's a quarterback that does really well behind a great offensive line, and the Saints have a really good offensive line when they're healthy. And I think that if he goes there, then he can develop pretty well. Would have been better if they still had Sean Payton, but what can you do? But yeah, Carson Strong going to the Saints. He'll be their eventual guy. Really good at reading his progressions. Can find open guys. Yeah, I kind of like this move. 50, the Dolphins. I have them going running back here, Isaiah Spiller. Since the Dolphins don't have a great offensive line, they are relying heavily on short yardage passes, and when you're doing that, it's really good to have a running back that's a great pass catcher. And Isaiah Spiller didn't get to really show that at Texas A&M, but he has that in him. And I think him going here would help the Dolphins offense really, it would give them a really strong weapon. And, you gotta give Tua as many of those as he can. And hopefully this new system works out for him. 51, Eagles. Christian Harris, linebacker. He's a little bit inconsistent at Alabama, but when he played well, he played really, really well. And I think that that the Eagles coaching staff can bring a good bit out of him. So you got him on at the second level with Hutchinson in front of him. That Eagles defense is starting to look pretty good. 52, the 49ers. I'm actually going to go with a bit of a odd pick, one that not a lot of people might expect. Okay, first off, Pittsburgh's trading this pick for Jimmy Garoppolo. So, Pittsburgh, San Fran, 52, and a future second for Jimmy Garoppolo. So there you go. This pick now belongs to the 49ers. And with this pick, I have them taking Jermaine Waller. Like, this is a bit of a reach. Well, not a reach, but a deep cut of a pick. But I like Jermaine Waller's game. Dude is a ball hawk. All right. And, like, they need some help in their secondary. Their two best corners at the moment are Jason Verrett and Kawan Williams. And they're both on expiring contracts and both 31 years old. Like, he just needs to put on a little bit of weight and get a little bit stronger. And boom, he'll be in great shape. I really, really like Jermaine Waller at this spot. 53 is the Raiders. So I have them taking a wide receiver. Replace one Alabama wide receiver with another. John Mechie III. Like earlier this season, this Raiders wide receiving core looked amazing. But the only one who was able to keep that momentum going was Hunter Renfrow. Brian Edwards fell off a little bit. Darren Waller got hurt. Henry Ruggs, we all know. But I think Mechie going here would be a great spot for him, especially considering they're not going to be asking him to be the number one guy right away. They'll be asking him to probably be like number 3 guy in their offense behind Renfrow and Darren Waller. And I think that's a fine spot for him, and I think that he'll make the most of that. Speaking of wide receivers, we got another one here. Patriots on the board next. They'll go Jalen Tolbert. I almost got his name dyslexified. But Jalen Tolbert going to the Patriots. They basically revamped their whole team last year. Like, they brought in a bunch of free agents, which they don't normally do. But they weren't able to really find that wide receiver to help him out. Like, they brought in Kendrick Bourne, they brought in Nelson Aguilar, but neither of those guys really dramatically improved their offense. Like, they still need a number 1 receiver, and Jalen Tolbert just crushed it at South Alabama. Like, it's going to be a little bit tricky because, he's going up. Like, the level of competition from, Florida International to the New York Jets is, it's a little bit harder. So we'll see if he can make that jump, but I really do think that he can make that leap. I think he can go from a smaller school and really, really establish himself. 55, Arizona. I think that the smart move would be to go pass rusher here, and that would be Kingsley Enagbare. Actually had him going there with the Cardinals' first round pick in the last draft, but this feels like a bit smarter of a place for him to go. He's going to be learning from two of the best pass rushers to ever do it, in J.J. Watt and Chandler Jones, and he would be groomed to be the next guy up. It makes tons of sense. He's very nimble for his size, always goes at 100%. If he can work on stopping the run a little better, he'll be set. 56, Cowboys. I'm going to have them take another pass rusher, Myjai Sanders out of Cincinnati. Micah Parsons last year, he was great. Nobody is denying that. But they've struggled to find other contributors to their pass rusher. Like Randy Gregory, he's all right when he's healthy, and that's never a guarantee. DeMarcus Lawrence, he's fallen off the last few years. Myjai Sanders, I think he can be the guy who can be that pass rusher alongside of Micah Parsons, especially considering that they might not be bringing back Leighton Vander Esch. So if they don't bring him back, this becomes an even bigger need. All right, just making sure we're going well. All right, 57 is the Bills, and I have them going offensive lineman Sean Ryan out of UCLA. I was considering going with a skill position player, specifically a Breece Hall, But you can always find running backs in the mid to late rounds. You know what you shouldn't wait to do? Find someone to protect your quarterback. Am I right, Bengals fans? Like, so the Bills' offensive line, it had some injuries last year, as most teams do. But drafting Ryan here would let them move Darrell Williams back to his native spot at a... they had to move... they had to move Darrell Williams to guard. So what they could do is keep him at guard and have Ryan start at right tackle. I think that is a possibility. I think that, especially since I think that's where Ryan played at UCLA, so that would make sense for him going there. Yeah. Like, it's not flashy, but gotta keep that offense. Or you got to keep Josh Allen protected, and that's how you do it. All right, 58 is the Falcons, and I am going to give them Alec Pierce. I very much like Alec Pierce's game here. Now, originally I was thinking that the Falcons should take Desmond Ridder, have him be the heir apparent to Matt Ryan, but he just did not impress at his pro day, and he's just starting to fall down the board for me. So instead, we give him Desmond Ridder's best target, Alec Pierce. Like, he was a great guy, big play threat, like somebody who can find spaces in the deeper parts of the secondary. So, and this is going to be especially big because right now Calvin Ridley is probably on his way out, and their Russell Gage is also an impending free agent, I think. So they really need to address their wide receiving room like now. All right, 59, the Packers. So this is the third time in the draft that the Packers have had a team take a wide receiver directly before them. This is hilarious. Like, it just keeps happening. Let's scroll back up. It was Jahan Dotson right before the pick at 40, and it was Drake London just before the pick at 28. And for those wondering about completion, that it did not happen at 9, but still, you get the point. So they're done waiting at this point. They have to go now. Otherwise, they're going to miss out on anyone who could potentially be a number one receiver. It's George Pickens at this point. I think that he would have gone a lot higher this year if he hadn't torn his ACL, but he came back for like the very end of the season for Georgia, so he should be good to go week 1. It's just that injury risk, like, once it's already happened, like, teams are a little more skeptical, but I think he has big play, number 1 potential. If they don't bring back Devontae Adams, or even if they do, I think that Pickens would be a great play here. 60 is the Buccaneers, and I am going to give them a center because the Bucs' offensive line is stacked, so you wouldn't think it would be a big need, but they have 2 major pieces who could be on the move. Alex Kappa, their guard, and Ryan Jensen, their center. I mentioned Kappa earlier as somebody who might get lured away to Jacksonville. But in this scenario, I see Kappa getting retained and Ryan Jensen being the one to hit the open market. So I think the Bucs would be smart to move to make a replacement for him. Like, they could probably wait till later, but there are other teams who need interior offensive linemen, and I think that this is how they get the jump on him. Luke Fortner is the guy. He could fill either position, but I think that he works best as an offensive line, or as a center. So, we're going now. 61, 49ers are on the clock again, and I think that if Jaquan Brisker is still there, they would absolutely love that. Like, he's a little bit banged up, but a lot of teams aren't really needing a safety at the moment, and I think that the 49ers are one of those teams. I think that they'll be moving on from Jaquiski Tart, and they could start Brisker pretty much immediately. He's got good size, has some pass disrupting skills. Like, as long as he stays healthy, he'll be good to go. Although the 49ers do seem to be cursed in that regard, so no guarantees there. 62 Chiefs. I got Nick Bonito going to them. He's another guy who I've seen go a little higher in some places, but he's just a little undersized, I think, to be much higher than a late second. But like, if he can put that weight on, then I think he has potential to be a really strong pass rusher, especially for this Chiefs defense that really needs some good pass rushing help. 63 Cincinnati. I could go offensive line again, but let's see what's available. Daniel Falale, Nick Petit-Ferry, Max Mitchell. There's some players there. But they don't just have needs there. They do have other needs, believe it or not. And I think that a good player to go for in this range would be Damon Clark. Tackling machine. One of the best tacklers in the country. Just racked up sacks for the LSU Tigers last season. And they've been needing someone like that basically since Vontaze Burfict left and or kept getting suspended. So, get you a guy who can make tackles. What more could you want? And finally, at 64, ending out the second round, we're going to go tight end with Jalen Weidermeyer. Weidermeyer fills yet another need for this Packers offense that just keeps losing pieces. It's like they could be without Big Bob Tunyon next year. And even if they do bring him back, he's been injured so much that it just might be time to move on from him. I know he's a fan favorite. I know the people of Green Bay love him, but it's time to get you a tight end who actually stays on the field. So I'll take Jalen Weidermeyer right here. This would be a great, great move. All right, and now we move into the into the third round. Excuse me. And we start with Jacksonville again, and boy, they would have loved Jalen Weidermeyer, but unfortunately, they didn't get him. So instead, I think they go tight end as well. Jeremy Ruckert. I think he is the play here. It could be Isaiah Likely. I have seen that go in a few places, but Jeremy Ruckert, I think, just he helps to fill out this Jaguars offense. Give them a tight end that can catch passes for Trevor Lawrence. Good to go. Keep it moving. We're going fast now because I don't have a lot written down for the third round. The Lions are next. Devontae Wyatt. That would be a huge get for him. He could be an early second in some places, but he falls to the third here. I like it. Giants at 67. Daniel Falale. Just they need more offensive line help. I was mentioning earlier how sometimes I go double offensive lineman for the Giants. They take one Charles Cross, and now in the third they pick up another one in Daniel Falale. He might actually move to guard if you need him to, but yeah, that works there. 68, Houston, Breece Hall. I swear I'm not just taking the best player on this list. He helps them out a ton. They didn't really have that elite running back last year. I think their best one was Rex Burkhead, and even then he only you can do better than Rex Burkhead. Breece Hall going to the Texans. 69, nice. It's the Jets, baby. And this is where Isaiah Likely would end up going. Likely. Same deal as with why are words failing me? Same deal with Trevor Lawrence. Get you a tight end who can help out your young quarterback. Those are always nice to have as your safety valve. 70, Jacksonville. They're up again, but this time, we're not going off offense. I know, I'm shocked too. But they do have other needs. So get a guy like Perry and Winfrey. I like him going to Jacksonville. He's a strong guy, been moving up the boards. Like, improve that defensive line that you would have that nobody would have blinked if you used that pick in the first on Aiden Hutchinson. So they still need defensive line help. So there you go. 71, Chicago. I like Nicholas Petit-Free here. Pair Justin Fields back up with his old offensive tackle. How nice is that? Like, we always do that with quarterbacks and their receiver, but I like this. Like, pair up Justin Fields with his old offensive tackle. That would work great. 72 and 73 both belong to Seattle thanks to the trade with the Commanders that got them Derek Carr. For the first one, I got Boye Mafe, an edge rusher to really help get their pass rush going again. And then with the second one, I'll have them take Josh Joby. They need help in both places. Really need to revamp that secondary, and they'll be able to do that with this pick and the ones coming up, the other picks that they're getting. 74, Atlanta. Martin Emerson is the pick here. They could not pull down passes. They were bad in the secondary, so this will help them not. 75, Denver. Let's see here. Let's go back to this. I think he's pretty high up. Quay Walker is my first pick. Like the Broncos' first pick of the draft. It will go to their defense. Like, they might be asked to improve their offense a little bit. Like, if Aaron Rodgers has any kind of say over this, but I think it would be wise for them to just keep trying to improve their defense now, because now they have the quarterback and a solid offense. Now it's just about improving the rest of the team. 76, Baltimore. I think they go guard here with Jamare Salyer. Just keep getting younger on offense. Make sure that you do your best to protect Lamar Jackson. Keep him from getting hurt. Moving on. 77, Minnesota. I have Chad Mumma. Small school guy. Has a lot of the physical traits you're hoping for out of a linebacker. Like, kind of wasn't all that great in his senior season, if I recall correctly. But like if you're gonna go somewhere to develop, like granted they are getting a new crew at coaches, I think, but still, historically Minnesota tends to have pretty good linebackers, so this would be a great pickup for them. 76, Cleveland, controversial pick, Desmond Ridder. Like, they first off, they don't have a ton of needs they haven't already addressed. Like, it's basically just defensive line and wide receiver. If they get that, they'll be in great shape. But, like, this is them lighting a fire under under Baker Mayfield's ass. Like, hey, we're looking. Don't fuck this up. 79, LA Chargers. I think they go wide receiver here and take Justin Ross. Mike Williams is apparently another one of another receiver that's on the free agent market. And even if they bring him back, they still are lacking like more great receiving talent. So Justin Ross going here, I like that move. 80, Houston. Oh, excuse me. I have another receiver going off, and that's Romeo Doubs. Kind of a flashy, sort of big catch receiver, but if like the Texans, they're in kind of the same boat as the Chargers, with Brendan Cooks possibly being moved this offseason. And if that happens, then by God, they really need wide receiver help. So Romeo Doubs would help with that. 81, New York Giants. Keep helping that offensive line, please. This time we'll go guard. So this would make 3 linemen being taken in their first, I think, 5 picks. Ed Ingram out of LSU. LSU had some problems last year, but Ingram was not one of them. So just to recap, this gives them Ed Ingram, Daniel Falale, and Charles Cross. That's 3 pretty strong offensive line prospects. Like, we are really trying to save Daniel Jones' life out there. I actually would have considered them as possibly picking up Des Ridder if he was still there, but because, like, if nothing else, they need a second quarterback, but they'll probably get that in free agency. Let's see here. Where was I? 82 is next? 82. They need some pass rushers, and Travis Jones would be great for that out of UConn. 83. Philly is on the clock again. Let's give them a corner, Darion Kendrick. That's another pick that like I've said before, super deep corner class. This guy could have been like an early second, if it were it not for like some on the field issues or off the field issues. Excuse me. 84. Steelers are on the clock again. More offensive linemen, please. Max Mitchell out of Louisiana Lafayette. Like, keep improving that O-line. Make it better. Help Jimmy Garoppolo and Najee Harris, please. 85. New England. Oh, I'm running out of it. Kobe Bryant going to the Patriots. There are jokes to be made there, but I'm not going to make them because I don't want to get canceled. Kobe Bryant, great coverage corner. Like, big winner over in Cincinnati back in the day. Like, my throat. I'm never doing one this big again. 86. Raiders. I have them going with Thaler Munford, guard out of Ohio State. Really need to improve their offensive line. I think Richie Incognito is on an expiring contract. If not, he's old as balls, so might as well move on from him. And plus, like, it seemed like the only people who really liked him were freaking John Gruden and Mike Mayock, and they're both gone now, so bye. 87, Arizona, I think they go Kyron Williams. They need to address their running game. Yes, they do have James Conner, but he is on a 1-year contract, and even then, he has he's on a 1-year contract, and also he is brain stop. He works best as a role player, I think. To add someone like Kyron Williams to help him out with that. 88, Dallas. I really like this move, and you'll see why in a second. It's Brandon Smith out of Penn State. Get Micah Parsons' old running buddy from Penn State. Now they're together again at Dallas. And honestly, when in doubt, take the linebacker from Penn State. There you go. He's not quite the same as Micah Parsons, but it's still good to pair them up together. 89. Buffalo. Brian Robinson Jr. Same deal. When in doubt, take the running back from Alabama. Like, it wasn't quite the same level as some of the other Alabama running backs in years past, but he's still a very strong running back that can, like, do stuff for your offense. And, like, Devin Singletary was good, but, add more. Make it better. 90, Tennessee. I have them taking, Khalil Shakir. Julio Jones is probably cooked. Like, I don't want to say that just yet, but they do need to find his eventual replacement. And, like this would, like, between him and Trey McBride, that's a great way to improve your passing offense and really give whoever is going to be starting day one for week one for the Titans the best possible chance. 91, Tampa. This is another one that some people might not like. I like Bailey Zapp going here because, like, okay, Kyle Trask right now is the guy. The Buccaneers might try to get a quarterback in free agency or in the I think that the Buccaneers are going to try and bring in a quarterback, but I think that they'll be one of the teams that gets left out. But, they drafted Kyle Trask. They have some faith in him. He's been learning behind the GOAT for 2 years. Bring in another guy who lit up college football, just shined over there, and make it a competition. Trask versus Zapp, let the games begin. 92, Green Bay. Zachary Carter out of Florida. Again, the Packers have some pieces on the defensive line that are possibly leaving. Even then, their pass rush wasn't amazing, even with the pieces that they did have. So this is a strong move for me. 49ers are next up, and I think they go offensive line. Rasheed Walker. Yeah. I'm on my last legs. Let's just knock the rest of this out. 94. Chiefs are up again. I quite like the Chiefs getting a wide receiver here, Eric Izukanma. I think that he would be a huge help for them. They need at least a number 3 receiver, and I think that he would work out for that. 95. The Bengals. Hey, remember that time when they needed offensive line help? That time is now. Tyler Smith out of Tulsa. He's my guy. Keep improving the offensive line. Do everything you can in that. And speaking of improving offensive line, Broncos up again. This is one of the picks that they got for the Von Miller trade. And this is going to help out Aaron Rodgers. Keep him safe in the pocket. Abraham Lucas is the guy for them. Now we're getting into compensatory picks. I don't know if these 5 are confirmed, but this is at least what this website is going with. So we'll go with those 5. 5 more people. Great, I love it. So the Lions are up first. They've addressed a ton of their needs already, so they can kind of just go wherever they want to go. Sam Williams, get them an edge rusher. I like that move a whole bunch. I think I had Sam Williams going pretty highly in the last pick. So, yeah. Another edge rusher for them. Did they take an edge rusher? Oh yeah, they took Arnold Ibkite. So yeah, 2 of them. Sure. Depth. Browns at 98. They would have loved Sam Williams, but unfortunately he is now gone, so I think they'll end up taking Michael Clemens instead. Find some people in the draft. Myles Garrett he's of course awesome, but they have Jadeveon Clowney. I think he's on an expiring contract. If not, get a guy to spell those 2. Michael Clemens works. 99, Baltimore. I think they go linebacker here because, Patrick Queen has not been working out all that great. So, Channing Tindall out of Georgia. He would be a great weapon for them. Number 100. It is the Saints. And I think they go receiver. I know they already went receiver earlier in this draft with, I think I had them taking Treylon Burks. Let's give him another one. Calvin Austin III. I quite like this guy. He's a tiny little guy, but he's one of those guys who can just find openings and just zoom. Goodbye, he's gone. I think that he'll be a fun little pick. And finally, number 101 to the Dolphins. What else do they need? How about another offensive lineman? I'm giving them Cole Strange out of Chattanooga. There we go. I'm fucking done. Goodbye.